one of the OGs.
I know. Well, myself and 2 other doctors used to do a lot of Snapchat. So every day I would go on Snapchat and I would talk about one thing. So I'd be like, today I'm going to do cheek filler. And I would just talk about it, you know? And then I just kept doing that into Instagram. And then it finally got me into doing, getting people in. So I felt like I was always talking to people anyways, that I was like, I don't really need to do podcasts to interview doctors and stuff like that, because I'm talking to people. Like, that's why I actually stopped doing conferences and things, because I found that instead of actually going there and educating, people were talking about things that companies paid them for, and there was no progression. There was no real, like, those people were not the ones that were treating patients really. And they would talk about, there would be some that were talking about like some unique things and progressive things, but like in general was always like sort of a regurgitation of like a PowerPoint a company put together, right? And when I look at your stuff, for example, and so then I started focusing on myself, my own clients. And then as that got really big and I started doing more progressive things, I would get like a lot of good people that would be like, wow, you're progressing the industry. And then the other ones that would be like, this is too much, like, you're being too aggressive, or you're overly doing it, or you're inexperienced and stuff like that. But then, and so there'd be like 50-50 from the community. So then I was like, you know what, the business, I invested in other things, and I had a lot of really like influencing type clients and stuff. I said, you know what, I'll do the podcast to bring in people that I felt have an impact in not only their community and education, but also business growth. Because like, to be honest, cosmetics is a business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And like, for example, you have a trademark facelift, you have like, but
no one works for pro bono. I have a foundation, it's a pro bono. I do clever with power work, but
I love that.
You have to have a business so
Right.
you could do the stuff that you love. For example, if my business didn't make money, I wouldn't be able to do charity work.
Of course, and that's the funny thing is, in our industry, consumers and other doctors think it's okay for you not to make anything. But you listen to podcasts of billionaire, millionaire, big corporations and stuff, and it's all about how they can be more successful through making money. And they're seen as like, oh, that's okay. They're seen like that's normal. But when a doctor talks about money, people go, oh, that they shouldn't do that. That's unprofessional. But it's an actual business, and that's the sad part. And so early on, I actually learned that. I mean, myself, I don't overcharge people. I literally do the same price for everybody and never change it. But so many people do, because they're trying to, and I don't think that's right. And so what I did was I kept everything the same. I treated everybody the same. And then when I did make some money, I started doing other businesses that actually made me more successful, to the point where I'm like, I tell my team right now, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to be a doctor anymore. Because I used to love it literally every day. Like, I would go, and what we would do, like, especially with you, you're doing some things that are life-changing, on people's faces. And in those facelifts too, I mean, they're phenomenal. Like, when you take somebody and they look 20 years younger in a setting overnight, it's like, it's so rewarding to you and to them immediately. But with social media is what we've been talking about, and that's why I'm kind of talking about social media to each of the entrepreneurs, is at the beginning, it was easy to build and people were nice. And now, if it's not a photo, like even yesterday, I got somebody commenting on a Botox before and after that we posted, and the after is a selfie from the client and the before is in our office. I don't edit, so I just literally put them together, and the person's like, the second one's blurry, there's a little bit of lighting. I'm like, first off, it's Botox. You don't even need to see quality of an image. And so like, they're already like telling me that I'm doing something wrong when it's literally the real life. But because everyone's so used to these filters, or their expectations are so high with, they feel they can have an opinion. And then that opinion can go viral, and it could ruin their reputation. It could affect people's lives. Like, I had a client a couple weeks ago where we had a really difficult tummy tuck, just because of the way in which her body habitus is and everything. So the scar had to be a little higher. And when we posted it, she wanted to show her face and everything. She was so happy, because she always had been overweight, always had loose skin. And this was like the treatment to transform her. Now she's ready to go to the gym. She's going to do peptides. She's going to lose weight. And everyone were all these negative things. You botched her. go back to Colombia. Like literally, you should see the stuff. And I was like laughing because they don't understand, but the
There's
patients
so many haters
saw.
out there, dude.
But the
Like,
patients
one thing-
saw.
Like you've been on social media longer than I have been, and probably, not probably, you're more certainly one of the OGs, and so I'm pretty sure you've noticed the discrepancy between the positive and the negative comments. Social media is just an angry place. We're trying to educate, we're trying to share patient stories, and there's all these keyboard warriors, all these angry haters coming on and just want to poop on your party, but you can't live your life based on those people. One of the things I do actually, I either delete it if it's disrespectful, if I feel the patient's feelings are going to get hurt because she was already courageous or he was courageous enough to expose themselves, and now some hater comes and makes fun, like, oh, you should have done the nose first, or what's with the ears? It's like, are you kidding me? Like, this is a human being that was generous to expose herself, and all you can say something negative, like your mom never told you, if you don't have anything good to say, just shut up. So either I delete it or I actually confront them. I just, respond, and I set the record straight, and then all of a sudden they quickly either retreat and they apologize or say, oh no, that's not what I meant, or they just delete their own comments. So, I try to have fun with it because I know I can't change it. I can only control my own destiny, the things that I can control. We can't control what people. It's an angry place out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is because people can hide behind the social. I mean, most of those have zero. They have like zero posts, or honestly, they don't take care of themselves. Like, I'm working out every day and showing it, like, and like even if I take a picture with my shirt off, people are like, "You're so narcissistic." I'm like, I'm trying to promote people to want to look and feel that way, because
every time I see one of your posts, I'm like, shit, I gotta hit the gym again. I just
see that's the what I want.
It's motivational, and so, but you can't. Again, people are in different places, and you can do what you want to do and the effect you want to have on your community, and you can't worry about those negative.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I don't. It really does not bother me at all. And in fact, I actually find that the people of really high quality, the ones that want to make investments in themselves, like spend the money on health and fitness and stuff like that, plus doing treatments to complement, they actually will come to me because of the negative comments. So it's actually made me more, because the patients that appreciate the higher quality and somebody that's all encompassing, they want to come to me, and so I keep doing it. But the hard part is, like, when people aren't educated enough to understand these treatments, like, they're not a facelift doctor, they're not a surgeon, they didn't go through all the training that you did. They also haven't done, like with me, what I've done with body contouring, where I started from basically nothing to really, like, literally ultimately transforming a person's body. Each person's unique, and it can't always be the same, And so that's why I wanted to bring you on, at least my pod, because even though I just started, and I think our Instagram is like 30 followers or something. What is it? I think it's funny. So 100? Oh wow, okay, in a week. I'm like, that's good. But our YouTube's got like 400,000 views in the past couple weeks. So I really think that a lot is to say, people really want to learn about those that like hustle and work hard and become like an expert in their field. And it's not as much for me. I use my examples for the people that I interview and just kind of talk casually. But I always like, you were probably one of the first. I don't think we had any other doctors yet, right? I didn't want to really do a lot of doctors yet. But you were one of the ones that I saw, was like, because when you give good education, good commentary on the reality of surgery and of expectations. And also I feel like you also started social a little bit later, but have become really successful on it. And I see you doing what a lot of other people don't do. You started your podcast, you do a lot of these videos on your own. Like, you're doing a lot more than what I've seen other credentialed doctors do. And I was like, I think you should get on, and just talk to him, and we'll see.
I enjoy it. The reason why I do that is, honestly, I enjoy it. I like to be involved. And I used to spend initially 20, 30 hours per week on content creation, editing, posting, writing, all of that.
Oh, I know.
And
remember.
the reason why I did it because I enjoy it, and I still do everything now, but I've gotten more efficient now with a lot of apps and AI. It's just so much easier. Now I spend maybe about 10 hours a week on it, but I do it because I enjoy it. For me, it's fun. It's like for someone going and playing tennis.
Yeah.
I love playing
Yeah, I
tennis.
mean, that's like me with working out. You prioritize what's important to you. And that's the thing that I talk about a lot. Just in general, entrepreneurs, they will do the things other people won't do. And, and I have like injectors that will come, they want to work for me, or I had a plastic surgeon recently out of fellowship. I brought him in for a couple months, and the first weekend he was there, I had given him a bunch of things that I was like, look, this will make you more successful if you start doing this. So that first weekend, that Monday comes, I say, what did you do over the weekend? He went out, he partied.
Yeah.
I didn't even do that. I don't even do that still, but I didn't even do that for like 8 years. I mean, literally when I moved here and I didn't know anybody, I moved in with nothing, like tons of debt. I stayed home, I was answering Real Self, I was doing Yelp, putting pictures on Yelp, I was doing before and after photos on my computer. I was literally going to every gym and working out so I could hand out cards. I went to restaurants so I could hand out cards. Every person got a free facial. Everybody in this area,
Same.
And I'm like, you did nothing? Like, you didn't even answer Real Self questions? You didn't even do, like, I gave him a bunch. And then, he didn't do it. Like, he wasn't willing to do the social stuff. He wasn't willing, and then they blame me, And like, I
give you a better one. So, I'm running a fellowship, as you know, right now. So I try to inspire my fellows, and one of the main reasons my fellows pick me is because they want to do what I do.
Right, they want to copy you. They want to do what you do.
So when I tell them what you exactly just said, like word for word, everything you did, I did. Like,
I know. That's why I wanted to bring you on.
And I do it even in front of them. Like they see me.
Me
too.
too.
Still today doing it, yet none of my fellows yet so far has done it.
Wow. And see, that's another example. I'll give you a good example of that too. I started a university training program. Originally it was... What? Oh yeah?
Yes, I just called.
Well, listen, I mean, that's not a bad thing though, because the world is not going to give everybody success. You have to take it. And to do that, you have to work really hard. You have to do sacrifices. Like I said, when I moved here, I actually was in a relationship for 5 years in San Francisco with my boyfriend, long distance from residency and then fellowship. And when I said I wanted to move to LA, he told me, no, you have a great job. I actually had an amazing job, a practice that literally just sold for $70 million to venture capital. And I would have owned it. And I went there and I got a really good salary at the beginning and I was doing some cosmetics, but I'll never forget the day that I asked if I could advertise in a gay magazine to get patients from San Francisco to Mountain View. And the wife told me no. She said, we don't advertise to those people. And what she meant was not, honestly, I hope that they see this because they're nice people. What she meant though, I think, was she thought gay people didn't have money. Okay? And what I tried to explain to her was that they actually had more. And they cared more about their looks. But she didn't...
I know. They're actually the most successful people.
I know. That's what I'm saying, is the most... and let me tell you, those San Francisco people come to me now in LA. But even still, I was like, okay, I'm never going to be able to be myself if I want to be here, right? Even though it's a lot of money, I'm going to make commissions, I can own this business. He was in his 70s. I was like, I'm never going to be able to be myself. I need to move to LA. And
so why did you want to move to LA?
Because I wanted somewhere that I could promote myself, do the cosmetics that I wanted. Now, mind you, at that...
You couldn't do it in San Francisco?
No, I mean, I was in their practice. There wasn't any other practice nearby that was good enough for me to join that would let me do that. And I knew in LA, everyone wanted cosmetics. That's what I thought. I had never been there, ever. So I came home one day, I'm thinking about this for weeks, and I come home, I tell my boyfriend that, and he's like, no, you're making money, you're paying things back, like, stay here, this is good. I'm like, but that's not me. Like, I want to enjoy what I do every day. And so I told my best friend, who just after like 12 years was in a startup company and sold for billions of dollars and he never has to work again. He was the one that said to me, he invested everything in this business. He's like, go do what you want. He's like, even if you don't succeed, we'll figure it out, So he got a U-Haul with me and took everything with me. My boyfriend did not come with me. He took everything with me, and I drove my 2003 Saturn Ion. I always tell people it had a suicide door. No one even knows what that is anymore, unless they know Rolls Royces. But it's a different type of suicide door.
Yeah.
And I had my dog and like 2 lasers because I had done some clinical trials, and I moved in with Paul Nassif here. And we became very good friends, and then, you know, as his show built, I started building clients. My focus was in TV, it was my clients. And how did I get those clients? I literally, every day, Yelp, I made videos. I probably was one of the first doctors to do patient stories. The full patient, we even picked them up at the airport and videoed them coming in the cab, going to my office. I have them all from 2014 to 16.
Dude, do you realize how ahead of your time you were? This is like someone.
But what's weird is I didn't think about money or anything. I was like, I just want people to know what it takes. What does a patient feel? What are they, you know, how do you get to this result? Like, you want to tell that whole story, because then other people are going to find someone like them and say, oh my God, that's me, and I want that, you know, with the doctor that cares and does all that. And I don't know why I thought that. Honestly, I just, how else?
Someone having a website in 1995.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a website then, actually. I didn't have money.
You didn't even need one when you're on
No.
social media. Although back then you really needed a website.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have, when I joined Paul and David, they had a website, and they put like a page with me on it, but they were not going to give me money to make my own, right? So I didn't have anything. So for a whole year and a half, all I did was Snapchats every day. I don't think Instagram was existing yet.
No, that was 2014, I think.
Okay, so that's when I moved. So I didn't think I started till 15. So I did these videos, and how I got the original video guy was I paid Yelp to do advertising. And at that time, Yelp gave you a video. And I actually still have it. I was going to post it on social this weekend because it is so funny. I mean, oh my God, this first video, looking at me, I'm like, wow, why did anyone go to me? I would have been scared to have surgery with me because I look like a baby, literally. And I'm talking like, I have the glasses like you too. I just looked great. I looked good, but I looked very inexperienced. So I can't believe people went to me. So that guy was doing the Yelp video, and I said, oh my God, can you do this for 5 patients? Give me a deal. I don't have money, you know? And he did. And I did these surgeries for like free. And I did these cases, and they came out great. And that started kind of like the revolution of doctors showing. So what ended up happening was this guy now has one of the biggest video editing companies in LA. He has over 20 employees, and they do videos for all doctors. And so I stopped using him because I was like, you're copying everything that I do. That's the problem. I taught him everything, basically. So he went from this Yelp guy that Yelp paid him like $250 to do this initial video. And it was like a pan of the building, and then like you walk in, and then you see the office, which was like totally crappy because it wasn't nice then. And then you talk, and like it's the same type of thing, but it's like nothing like, now you can make that with AI and it would look so fancy. It would be 2 minutes, you know. But that's how it started, and then it built. But I spent a lot of time. I would go home at night for hours and do 25 questions a day on Real Self. I had to do it. And I always did it on the things that I wanted people to come in for me, which was fillers, liposuction, acne scars. And I didn't do as much penis treatments at that time, but I started, and then it just was work. And then now I have people where they take my university, and I tell them, look, I can show you a procedure 1 time or 10 times, but you need to practice it, learn it, do all these different things to understand it. And now you have the ability to go to YouTube and online and AI and get all this information, and then they never do it. And of like 40, I think we've trained 47 doctors in 9 months. Only 3 can actually do it somewhat well. And one of them took my course 3 times. Even to the point I told her, I said, bring your own client. I'll give it to him for cost, just so we could do it together. And still, it didn't happen. So I just think that there's an innate thing for entrepreneurs, and I'm not just talking about a doctor, that they want to promote themselves. They want to sell. They want to stand out uniquely, and they don't think about competition. They compete with themselves, and they make their unique approach so that people want to come to them.
The word I always think of and come back to is called conviction.
Oh, huge.
You cannot train, inspire, induce conviction. It comes from inside. It comes from something that, whether you have to, it comes from passion, obviously, and that's a driver for it. But I think with people like us, it's deeper rooted. I don't know what it is.
I know.
Something, having a chip on your shoulder. I know. I've been asked that question so many times and tried to really dig deep inside my dark past and see how the fuck did I become so driven. And it all goes back to the fact that everything I did since I was a child, I did it with a chip on my shoulder.
Where did the chip start from? You don't know.
When I was in elementary school and in middle school, I was bullied. And I was always the smallest kid, and I grew up in Germany, and I was always the smallest kid. I looked different. Back then, it's not in the world today.
Well, the world today, you look like the guy from Grey's Anatomy. Everyone thinks you're hot. They're gonna want all the women are gonna want to be with you.
Thanks, brother.
I mean, all and men.
Sure.
It's both.
It wasn't like that. I should post one day. I should post
the two of you. That's what I thought. What is it, Dempsey? Patrick Dempsey?
It's funny. A lot of people say that. I don't know how.
You have a mix. You actually look like various people. You look like Hugh Jackman. You look like Patrick Dempsey. You look like...
These are the two people. I was in an Uber in Vegas, and the guy turns around. He literally says, "Hey, are you?" I think he meant Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah.
Because he described the movie he's in, and I didn't know. And back then my fiance was like, she laughed and.
Should have said no. I'm his stunt double, but you can. I know him very well.
But anyways, going back to that time, I had a chip on my shoulder. I grew up with a lot of insecurities, but the one thing that gave me confidence were my parents, and they literally hammered it into my head that I could be anyone I want, and it's almost like that became my superpower. And
see, that's not a lot of people.
I felt I had to prove it, not just to myself but to others, and then it became this thing that I became crazy. I literally thought I could do anything.
But that's amazing. That is what leads to progression. And that's what I'm saying, because the people that think they can do anything, well, it could be good or bad because you got to do it safely, but you can push the limits a little bit to develop something new or help people that have been harmed. Because I have so many people that come to me who have been to 6 dermatologists, 7 dermatologists, or even the other day I had this girl that came to me. She went to 4 plastic surgeons, and I'm only a dermatologist, but it was for body contouring. And she said, "Why are you the only one giving me this choice versus these board-certified plastic surgeons?" And I said, because a lot of them are conservative. I said, the ones that you are going to, I know, and I think they're great surgeons for the basic thing. But if you want like you're describing, the body you're showing me, the tightness, the curve, the contour, they're not going to do that. That's not what they do. Anyone can do that. I can do that too. I said, but what you're describing requires something more specific that very few people will do, and that we do a lot because I've always pushed the limit.
Yeah, it's a difference between someone that follows a cookbook and an artist.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, like a Michelin star chef, Michelin star chefs to me are artists. They're not chefs, they're not cooks. They're artists. They just make art using food, some edible stuff.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the analogy I would use between the group of people, the professionals that you talk and yourself. It's artistry is something that comes innate. It's not something you can learn.
Yeah.
You can't even mimic it because it has to do with how you see everything, how you see the world, how you see the patient, how you can listen to their concerns, how you interpret those concerns, and can create the vision of what they will like. And it's so much that I always think about it a lot when I try to train my fellows, and sometimes I get a blank stare like, what the fuck is he talking about? And other times it's like, wow, that's amazing, I get it, but which is rare, by the way. But you have to have this art. So now when I interview, I try to find the one that is artistically talented and passionate, and not necessarily the one that went to Ivy League schools or checks every box on the CD.
Yeah, I mean, I think artistry is it could probably be developed, but it has to be innate. And I'm one of those people, I can't even draw anything, stick figures. I could have been like a Basquiat or, something like
But
that,
you can
like maybe a Keith Haring or something. But I can see it, like with facial sculpting, or like there's certain people where, they'll get actually mad at me when I tell them they need not a surgical treatment, like they need a facelift. Even young, it has nothing to do with age, it has to do with bone structure, the skin, quality, if they lost weight. I mean, some people's acne scars, because that's what I see a lot of, you go like this and 3/4 are gone if you lift and volumize. And I tell them, look, you might be 35, but you need a facelift and some volume, and you'll be so much happier. And then they get mad at me because it's expensive. I'm like, but that's what you need, so.
It's a solution. So.
Right, but an artist would think that of those things, an alternative outside the box and kind of combinations, and that's kind of how I did it, was things would improve, but I always wanted to be so much better. And they would have these articles that were out, and doctors were doing some treatments, and I was like, well, why can't you do this or that together? Or why can't you do this at the same time? They would separate things out, do different times, and then the result wasn't the same. Or I was doing a lot of Mohs, and people would have scars, and they would say, wait 6 months. And I was like, why would I wait 6 months when a woman has a huge scar across her forehead or face and she's depressed? So I started doing peels like phenol and TCA and lasers, and these would improve so much more and so much quicker. These people were so much happier that I was like, I'm not going to listen to what someone says if I think it's going to be safe, And that's how I started doing it. And sometimes that's not always perfect. You have to figure it out, but the patients trust you that if a complication were to occur or it takes a longer time to get where you want to go because of healing, they're willing to do it because you explained and you're honest and you're there for them. But what I found was, and I'd be curious to see, is this the reason why I've been getting a little upset of where the industry is going. You can explain somebody they need 3 treatments. You can explain that their scars are so severe, it's going to take many treatments and this and that. And then after the first one, if it's not 100%, it doesn't matter what you said, they're mad.
Yeah.
3, not all of them, but I have a lot. And it's getting to a point where I'm like, I literally send them the consultation recording and say, I need you to listen to this again because I explained it in detail. Or the darker skin tones that never could have treatment before, and now everyone says, oh, there's all these treatments you can have done, which is true and not true. And I say, oh, you can't. It's going to take you many more treatments than the traditional. And then in 1 or 2, it's only a little bit better. They're like, well, I spent all this and it should be, and I said, I need you to listen to this. And they're getting so unrealistic with expectations, despite me being the most honest, upfront person, Or like I say, working out, which we could talk about. It took me years to be able to get to where I am. And even now, I look at days where I'm like, I don't look as good as I did 2 weeks ago, but I still did like everything, Your skin is going to be the same, or even a facelift. It's not going to be perfect afterwards forever. I can't stay that way, but you have to maintain it. And so a lot of people don't want to do what's required of them. They expect these cosmetic treatments to be the life-changing alteration, and then they don't have to maintain it. But for skin, you need to be doing treatments every day, So do you find that social has a huge impact on that? Because I think that them being able to say what they want, they could threaten you for reviews, you could, post anything online and say whatever you want to say, or filter everything, and their expectations are a filtered picture, or a AI altered result that they could never get, It
is very difficult. I mean, you're touching on a point that I wish I had the solution. That's why whenever I can, I try to diagnose that issue or filter those patients out and before I even treat them. Because there's so many people that are disillusioned and have these unrealistic expectations that even though, like you said, you describe it, you send them the recording, like you communicated it clearly.
I always do.
They
Always
still
do.
feel entitled because they paid that it should be what they had imagined, which there's no way for us knowing that. And then if you don't, and then they ask for their money back, and if you don't give them their money back, they
try
send a letter from the
blackmail
attorney,
you.
they threaten with that, they try to blackmail you.
I've had that a lot.
I'm a guy that at this point, I've been practicing for 16, 17 years now. 5 years ago, I said, you know what, I'll just put the cards on the table for everyone to be their own judge, because I can't control those people. I tried to filter them out and not treat them to begin with.
Too.
But let's say I just misjudged it, and now I'm into it, and now that patient is makes it their life's mission to ruin my reputation on social. Fine, I'll put my cards on the table and I let them do whatever they want. There's nothing I can do about it. And more so than I thought before, I have other patients that come into my defense.
Yeah, me too, which is actually just happened to me on Reddit.
I just let the chips fall, bro.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it.
I know, it's sad. It's sad. I actually want to create some sort of platform where doctors can respond. But here's the thing is, like, some people, they're like that. Like, I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in the Midwest. People were nice. If someone upset you, you move on. You know, you might tell them.
We live in a different age.
I know.
We live in a different age.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. From 15 years ago when we started, it wasn't like that. Now people, their expectations are getting their money back, ruining your reputation. The Medical Board of California knows me, actually. I've spent so much in lawyer fees because a lot of people have reported me from just minimal things. Like, I had one guy that said I ruined his face with fillers or something, right? And I have the pictures, and I literally presented them. They're like, nothing's wrong. I said, I know, nothing is wrong. But his mind, he sees something wrong. Like, it was literally one syringe or two. I can't even remember. My fiance is 18. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, I don't know. It's just so weird because I didn't anticipate it at all. And I would never spend the time or money or effort to do that because I care more about other things in my life than that. You know, if I truly harmed somebody, I would fix it, you know, or admit I was wrong. But I've never had that in any scenario before ever, you know? And I actually had you won't even believe this, I had a recent Reddit, and it said, what's the deal with Dr. Emer? It's on Google, actually. And so my team writes it to me, like, I need to check this out. I go in, and it's a guy saying that he's gone to a bunch of doctors for lipo, he has been botched, he won't say by who, and he wants to go to me, but he's nervous because he's seen all these online reviews saying bad things. Although there's good ones. He said he doesn't believe, people have told him the good ones are fake. I'm like, first up, just so you guys know, I don't have time to tell anyone to write fake reviews. I wish I did, but I don't. All the reviews are real. So all these people start writing, go to this person, don't go to him, he's too expensive, he overcharges, this, that, and the other. So he goes...
How many of those are competition?
Probably a lot, actually. Because there are other doctors' names with their websites, right? So I send this to like 20 of my clients. I have like a group chat with certain ones that are very happy, that are willing to talk to any patients of mine.
Nice, yeah.
So I send it to them, I go, you guys, you need to protect me. Go on there and tell them the truth, like, or show your pictures because you're willing to. So like 5 or 6 people did that in a day. This guy and other people keep writing, you work for Dr. Emer. This isn't real. I'm like, what more do you need? Like, you literally cannot win. And the funny thing is, these people put pictures and stuff. You think we're making those up? Like, this is real. And the sad part is this guy might not be able to get what he needs. And that's what I'm upset about. It's not, I don't even know if I can. I haven't seen him. But the people that they wrote to go to do good work, but not, I know they don't do what he needs. I already know. And so it's unfortunate because people who've never met you, people that, you know, etc.
There's a diagnosis for that. I don't know the exact code, but it's called Emer derangement syndrome. So
I believe it.
You get the bigger your target on your back gets, and so
we're gonna start classifying that.
Yeah, it's just like celebrities that, you know, we see it on tablets all the time. things are taken out of context, or someone
Oh, yeah.
wants to bring out something to smear them just to get readers or attention, and in some cases it can ruin their lives and it can really affect them.
Yeah, no, the
So-
sad part is with me, if it did affect me business wise, there's a lot of people that work for me. And if they had to be fired, or like, people don't understand, I think this is part of something we should explain, is the doctor themselves, it's not their own reputation. And their reputation could be handled because they have clients they've built up for years that would, I mean, always support them. But if you made less money, or you built up to a point where the reputation gets harmed, you're talking about like like I've a bunch of medical assistants, but my main one that's been there forever has 3 kids. Her sister works for me. Like, there's like 6 people in her family that work there that if I had to let her go, their whole lives would be ruined. Their insurance, I mean, just so many things that always now I feel the weight of, because those things happen and people don't realize the ramifications. I had a woman who booked surgery with me, a VIP client of mine from 2017, and I moved 1 million patients around to fit in the surgery the only day she wanted, and the 2 days before she decides to cancel. And she cancels for an unlogical reason, and then says she wants all her money back. And I said, you can't, because my financial policy is very strict. Not only do you sign it when you come to my office, you sign it on the quote, you sign it when you pay, I literally have 8 times that you sign the financial policy. So she says, charge it back. And it is very expensive. Turns out, after multiple fighting, she actually won it. And even though I have all the evidence, right? So what ended up happening was an entire day of mine got unbooked.
Yeah.
Multiple patients got mad at me because we moved, and I lost some patients. And we lost all the money that I paid to that. I lost 3 times the amount of it. And because of it, I had to let a couple staff members go. And so this person has no idea that they did that, probably. And people don't realize what they do.
Care.
No, they probably don't. And the sad part is
the way they look at us is that I'm not gonna feel sorry for them. They're making a shit ton of money.
They think that.
Yeah, they think that.
I know. And the thing is, as a doctor, cosmetics make better in general than most, but my success financially is not actually from being a doctor. It's from other businesses that I have. And that's the sad part, is people think that, but it's not true. And that's what I wanted, to explain in this scenario, because it did harm a bunch of people. And it was really sad because we had this policy. So I actually had to let my merchant services company go, who I've been with for years, because I got upset and I told them, you should have protected me during this. And I have all the documents. I mean, it's very detailed. And they're like, well, we don't have an insurance for that. And that's like the only thing that no insurance exists for. And I don't believe that that should be real. I think that doctors should be protected and businesses should be protected for people that do that.
100%.
So it was sad. But that's actually leads into a question I actually had for you, was the balance of both mental and physical health in medicine. Because you're doing social, you're doing being a doctor, you're running the business, you're exercising. How do you've done this a lot as much as me. How do you stay happy every day? How do you stay, looking good so that you could be successful for your patients?
It's all about balancing your life. I know it sounds like woo-woo, and people might hear it and just say like, well, that's easier said than done, or what does that even mean? It starts with taking care of myself. One of the lessons I've learned in life is, unless I take care of myself, I can't take care of others.
Yeah.
And by taking care, just not your body, which is a huge part of it, because muscle health has been shown to have significant effect on mitochondrial health, on serotonin levels, on dopamine level, all the happy hormones. So you need to be able to sustain a level that is doesn't have much peaks and troughs, but is pretty much consistent over time to keep you mentally fit, but also physically. And everything starts with that, because if you don't do that, you can't just weather the storms. You just won't be able to survive it. And all my life, I was obsessed with working out.
That's why I wanted to have you on as well.
Yeah. In college, the way I made money is through, I worked as a personal trainer.
Me too. That's what I did, college and med school.
Yeah, so for me, fitness was the one drug. That's where I got, you know, gosh, I mean, I got all my energy, all my motivation, all my drive, and I was always an athlete. I was always doing sports. So that's, my mental fitness started with my physical fitness. And I can tell you, and you can probably attest to it, if there's 2 days straight, if I don't go to the gym,
oh my God,
I become a different person.
Yeah, I'm a monster, literally.
I just get depressed. I get a monster.
My
like,
photography group is saying that right now. Alec is shaking his head right now.
I'm like, what is going on with me?
I
And
know.
my staff is like, Dr. Hamrah, are you hungry? I'm like, no, I don't know what's wrong with me now. I'm thinking, oh shit,
Yeah.
I haven't gone to the gym in 2 days.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. Take care of your physical health because that affects your mental health. And then as far as my mental health, you know, the one thing I can tell that works the best out of everything else that people already can read anywhere or listen on a podcast or whatever is gratitude. I always look for gratitude. I always thank. Because honestly, for me, I went through so much shit to do what I can do today. Every day when I go to work, I have to pinch myself. I'm like, am I really doing this? Did I actually get here? Because for me, it was a dream. And when you dream about something and then you achieve it, you don't take it for granted because you will always remember the days that you wish you were where you are today. And ultimately, gratitude keeps me going on the worst days. I can tell you there was one day, you know, I do charity work, not just out in South America for Cleft and Pal, but even in my office. I do one charity case a month. It doesn't matter what it is.
That's
like
awesome.
Whether it is a full facelift or it's just like a laser treatment or I just give someone their skincare regimen, whatever that is. I do one charity case a month. And that has to do with gratitude. It has to do with not just paying back, but paying it forward. And when you do those things, you are a happier person because you do something without asking for anything in return. And so those are the things that help me mentally. So in a way, it's for selfish reasons. Others benefit from it, obviously. But I try to keep my physical health through regular fitness, proper nutrition. I don't eat junk. I mean, gosh, I'm right now actually. I'm probably my patients. Some of my patients hate me for being so strict about their lifestyle, diet, and nutrition status.
You should hear what mine say.
Them pre-operatively.
Oh, I love that. We're going to talk about that.
I'm really a Nazi about this.
Good.
And then even post-operatively, I keep them on the regimen. I harp on it, but it has to do with the fact that I know how much better they would feel and how they would benefit from it. But for myself, I walk the walk. I practice what I preach, and so that's really the secret to happiness.
So that was one of the reasons why I wanted you on the grind because, I always say like the whole idea of like our name, which is the grind blueprint, was like the grind is the blueprint basically. That's why you're talking about the fellows. If they're not grinding, they're not gonna learn how to do it, right? You can watch anybody, but you got to walk it and do it to make it successful. And so, gratitude, I think, is really important. I think the patients that appreciate you the most are the ones that see you doing everything and then follow that full routine and they see that benefit and they realize that you changed their lives and you feel so much better about it. I got a DM right before I came in today. It was another client of mine who I actually didn't ask to do the Reddit. And he did it, he saw it and did it himself. And he wrote me and said, by the way, that crazy guy on Reddit, I responded to him because look how I look. And he sent me a selfie in the gym mirror, And this was a guy that flew in from Chicago who had no body shaping, no chest, very slim, but lost like 100 pounds. So his skin was like up and down, And so we had to do a tummy tuck. We actually did a chest implant. We did a bunch of stuff. And he looks like ripped. I got him on peptides. I got him a trainer in Chicago. He's going to this cryotherapy place every week. And then he sent me a LinkedIn. And he's like, I want you to see this LinkedIn. And it was a LinkedIn of him at a huge conference in Canada to like thousands of people. I didn't know he was a marketing executive, okay? And so he's like, I want to tell you that last year, if I would never have been able to do this conference and feel how I did about myself if I hadn't met you. And, you know, I was very thankful for him, and I got like goosebumps. But I realized, okay, no matter how hard the days are, or the businesses, or the people that try and take you down, or whatever, when you get something like that, you know how much of an impact you've made on someone's life. And the reason, though, that occurred was because I'm really strict. Like, I told him, if you're going to do this, you need to work out. This is the routine. You know, these are the people you need to talk to. And he was very low testosterone. We hormonally optimized peptides, and I'm very big on anti-aging wellness and the pre-post surgical stuff. He did hyperbaric therapy, IVs, massages, red light. We have all of it. And he did it all. And he even said, like, look, it was expensive, but I'm now doing this that I never did before. And so forget about the money. Think about what it did for his life change. And that's what we were able to accomplish. And so I feel like, you know, no matter how busy or how stressful, when you get messages like that and you see that you really change someone's lives, you have that gratitude, you know, and then you want to continue.
And that's another thing that you just mentioned. So patient stories, they motivate you too. So in worse days, you remember these stories and you say,
exactly,
fuck the bad stuff. This is what I live for, the good stuff, and that motivates you because.
Yeah, I agree.
At the end of the day, it's whatever we're doing today. Someone else is, I know, paying for the chance to be where we are.
Yes.
Someone is struggling to face the things we've already overcome, and someone is admiring the strength we don't even see in ourselves.
Yeah, because it's natural to you. You don't even realize that you just do it.
To be given the opportunities that we were given, and so that's what gratitude is. That's the essence of gratitude.
Yeah, I remember when I started this cosmetic clinic in New York years ago I was a resident, but I really wanted to work on Saturdays because I had all these patients that were willing to do cosmetics for less cost. And so my director said, if you can get a dermatologist to come in on Saturdays and shadow and oversee you, sign the charts, you could do whatever you want. So I started doing lipo. I started with Norm Goldstein. He's passed away now, 82 years old. He used to literally sleep in the corner while I was doing these cases, and then he would sign it. But he was like one of the smartest dermatologists I ever met. But he did that for me because he was like, Jason, I'm from a time when if you wanted to do it, you figured out how to do it as long as you didn't harm people. And he would come in on his own Saturday off, and he would sit there with my nurse and, you know, watch me do these treatments and stuff. And I remember I was hoping to have a full schedule, but I would have maybe 2 patients, 3 patients, right? And as the year went on, it finally built to like full, right? A couple years. And then when it was full, I remember how tired I was. And my nurse and Norm would say, Jason, you remember every day all you did was ask about doing this. All you wanted to do. You would say, I could do fillers all day, I could do laser all day, I could do this all day. You're doing it now all day. You better have gratitude for that. You better not forget what you asked for, because so many other people would love to be in your shoes and they're not, you know? And then now I get to the point where last week I was telling myself, I was like, oh my God, we started surgery at 5. I think I did the surgery at 5 and I didn't leave till 11:30 at night. And my fiance goes, oh my, I don't know how you did that. I'm like, I don't even know how I did either. I said, but I remember the time when I had no one and all I wished for was that people wanted to go to me. And I should feel very thankful that even though I'm leaving here at 11:30 at night, that people are coming to me. You know?
That's it, man.
And that's the gratitude part.
Again, yeah, that's the gratitude part. And
so I tell myself that all the time, basically. You know, the other thing I was going to ask you was, so with fitness, I know you're really into it. Did you ever get into peptides and alternative therapies? For exercise, but also surgery. I'm curious.
Yeah, so I can tell you, and this is not medical advice, I'm just telling what I have done. I was struggling with rotator cuff injury and labrum tear for a long time, just because, you know, it happens. You know,
over time, yeah, degeneration.
It just happens. So I started a year ago using BPC 157 treatment.
My favorite. I came out with an oral supplement recently at BPC.
Yes. So what I did one injection, and then I took oral supplements the days I knew I'm going to work out. And within 4 weeks, and it just worked for me. This is a study, it's an N of 1, so
yes,
I'm
of course.
saying take it or use it, not giving medical advice. I have to reiterate, I don't want to get sued or something.
You won't.
Yeah. And within 4 weeks, my pain went away, and I was able to do my reps that I used to do again, and I slowly built up my muscles again around the joint, and that's something that's what the peptides helped me doing. And then, but also I take about, how many, 17, 18 supplements a day.
That's it? I take about 40. No, I'm kidding. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a little crazy. I'm a little nuts. But I think that's important.
So I take some supplements that have 3 or 4.
Okay.
It has like CoQ10, quercetin, berberine. It has all of them in one.
So you have a mix of anti-aging, you have a mix of vitamins.
If I wanted to take that many pills, it would be a whole freaking meal.
I know it is. It is. It's a little crazy.
It's a whole freaking meal, man.
I know.
So I do a lot on that, and all science-based, and which actually now motivated me to write a book on how we can integrate it into aesthetic medicine. It's all science-based. Every day I'm like reading.
Love it. Well, if you ever need any little parts from me in there, you tell me, because I will.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you some of the stuff. Because one of the reasons why I actually wanted to talk to you too was I knew that about you. I just could tell. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually partnering with a research lab to make my own peptide combinations. Now, in the U.S., the regulatory control is going to block compounding pharmacies from putting things out to patients, but it doesn't block research pharmacies from doing that. And so there's only a few that are allowed to do that. I'm very lucky that I have one that's going to be supporting me, but it's going to be allowing us to use some of these un-FDA regulated products to see, for people like this where, you know, like for example, my SoulCycle instructor is like the #1 in the country. He's done 20 years, most SoulCycles in the world, and then he hurts his foot and his arm, right? So he can't even do SoulCycle, it like ruins his life. So I'm like, look, dude, BPC, MK677, CJC, let's get you on this. His orthopedic surgeon, I told him, do not tell him you're doing this. 6 weeks later, is completely healed, all right? And the surgeon's like, what have you been doing? Like, how is it possible? I said, don't tell him. I wanted to see if he can ever guess it. And he's like, oh, no, I just been, resting, this and that. But it was, honestly, I truly believe these peptides really helped him. And I'll even, what?
In my case, it was my orthopedic guy that told me.
But see, that's the thing. Some are very open to our alternatives and some are not. In our area, there's a lot. I have integrated into surgical healing, laser healing, and anti-aging for, now it's been 7 years, but the past 3, really detailed. I even do BPC IV for myself once a month, just because I get a lot of joint and neck issues from liposuction and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that are listening, it's important to know that it's not something you do every day.
Yes.
It's something you do just for a short period of time, just because there are, in theory, some studies that suggest that if you have some cancer cell growing in your body, you can actually feed that. So I want people to understand that there is an asterisk attached to it, so you shouldn't just go ahead and get something online and take it. It should always be under supervision. Yes,
I agree. And that's the thing. There's a lot of online sources that are unregulated where you can get these peptides and you don't know where they're made.
It's because not enough doctors offer it, so people are desperate to
Exactly. And then these compounding pharmacies are taking advantage because they're wanting to put it out there and make money. And the thing is, for me, this was always about healing and optimizing someone's life because there was potential there. And to me, if you're overdoing things like testosterone and actually human growth hormone, it's much safer to take something that doesn't have those many documented side effects and see how it would work for you. So yes, they're not, you guys, as medical advice, they're not, something that's FDA approved, and if you're gonna use them, you need to go to someone that knows how to use them. But for example, I created an oral supplement that I feel like your type of physician, the treatments you do would be actually very beneficial for healing. We've been using them for facelifts, rhinoplasties, and combination laser plus face treatments, non-surgical and surgical, for 1 year. and we have seen dramatic changes in healing and reduction in pain.
Oral supplement?
Yeah, so the oral supplement I have right now is BPC with AOD, which is used mainly as both growth hormone and fat reduction, but also a fatty acid that's phosphatidylethanolamine that goes to the brain that signals some of the pathways for pain, signals some of the pathways for focus. So a lot of the patients feel better sleep, they feel a little more alert at work, they stay and maintain a little bit a leaner build, and it enhances some of the GLPs. And then you know what BPC does, the angiogenesis, collagen, gut health, inflammation and stuff. So we've been using that as a tester because I wanted to see if people can't afford or don't want to do many injections, can they do some oral medications and work? Because most of the oral ones, honestly, the bioavailability is so low.
Yeah.
Even these NAD companies that are out, are selling these NADs, orals, and they're probably not even that effective really, to be honest. So
yeah, I mean, with NAD, that's another thing. I mean, I take NAD boosters to boost my endogenous
me
NAD
too.
reserves
Me too.
through the NMDT pathway, but I also take NMN powder, the
Me
sublingual
too.
Form, because it has better absorption rate. It goes straight into the bloodstream, so you bypass the GI. But again, here's a caveat. So we don't have enough human trials to know, does it move the longevity needle? Does it move the anti-aging needle? So it's more of an extrapolation of what we know from animal studies and from labs. So which is, that's how everything starts. The way I look at it, and again, this is not medical advice, this is for myself, I look at the downside. If the upside outweighs the downside, and if the downside is never shown in any animal studies or anything else to kill me or cause cancer, and if I can afford it, I'm going to take it, because I don't want to find out 2 days before I'm dying that I should have taken it.
I know.
20 years. And then the other thing I do, I look at how I feel. I just feel like different. I actually brought my biologic age from 49 to 38.9.
Oh my God.
Within 4 months.
See?
Okay? That's why.
And that's not even on my routine. I can't believe if I put you on my routine, my God, you'd be like 21.
Seriously. And so that's why I'm so obsessed with it, because forget about the biomarker change. I just got off a podcast with Christopher and Sandra, who's in Beverly Hills in your area.
Yeah.
So I told him, like, my testosterone level went up by 30% just with improvement of my biomarkers through the supplements, peptides, and of course I was now able to work out more because my aches and ailments went away. So I could spend more time in the gym, and all of that increased my testosterone level by 30% without HRT.
And I love that, and that's actually one of those things. So I take testosterone replacement because mine was really low, and I just do very low amount. But I believe a lot in the longevity aspect of these. I was in a relationship who I was engaged to, like, I think we broke up 3 years, a little over 3.5 years ago. And I was in shape, but I always felt really tired. I always, like, the recovery from a workout took much more. I was way more sore. I would get up and not be like fully alert. It would take me a while. And I think I had great sex, but not like it is now. So I started pee shots and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do everything the opposite when we broke up. I was like, I'm going to take the peptides that I tell everyone to take. I'm going to test the testosterone. That's when I found it was like 240. It was very low.
Oh, wow.
And I know. And I run out 800-ish. And then I am going to start working out every day in the morning. I'm going to make myself get up and go before. Even this week I looked, I'm like, oh no, I have 3-4 surgeries, so I have to do 4 a.m. I'm like, oh shit, this isn't going to be good. Some of them, a couple.
Is that rewarding though when you do that?
It is. I get, the beginning I hate it.
Everybody's sleeping. And
so the answer is yes, because I can get to work in 12 minutes. From like an hour usually. But the funny thing is, one of the gyms I work out at, if it's 5, my workout, let's say, or 4:30, it is filled. and it's all ripped girls. Honestly, I can't believe it. And they all know me. They actually tell me to take my shirt off because they're like, we love looking at it while we're working out. These girls' legs are so ripped, their waists are so small, like, and they just like yell at each other. It's really crazy. So it made me really motivated, but I'd go there so tired, but I would leave so energized for the day. And I loved it, and I felt so much better, and I lost a ton of weight. I got way more, lean and dense the way that I wanted, and I have a focus, of kind of how I want to look. And then it made a big difference. And like, I'm 44 with full head of hair. I, have really literally no medical issues at all. My biological age is really low. And then now I'm able to say, okay, this is the lifestyle I lead. I also did carnivore diet for a while, and I think it changed a lot of things. So now that influences the clients. And I tell them, look, when you're doing a surgery or something, start the process because you're going to need to do that anyways to maintain. Yeah. So we give them stuff for post to feel better, have less pain, reduce complications. And then I tell them to continue. If somebody comes into me and they're just interested, like especially I had a young guy the other day that's like overweight and he wants my gladiator surgery. I'm like, look, you can't get that. Like, you need to work out. Like, how much you work out? Well, I don't really work out. I'm like, you need to work out. Like, I want you to lose 20 pounds. Here's what we'll do. And if you're willing to do this, then you could do surgery to create the foundation of this lifestyle modification that you're going to make. Some people will go to me and some people won't after that. But I do feel if they do, then they'll live longer. And that's like Brian Johnson says, do not die. Like, part of it should be live as long as you can to have a really good life. And the other part should be, how do we make our procedures better and more quick healing for people in an age where they literally want no downtime, from anything. I'm sure even for you with facelifts.
It's funny where we have so many similarities in how we approach our patient care. I thought, I can tell you, I don't, in the past hour or 30 minutes or whatever, I don't feel as lonely anymore because I felt like when I talked to my colleagues about this, they roll their eyes or they think it's a little bit too much or unnecessary, or worse even, that you can't change people. But
I disagree.
Me and you both have seen, we can definitely agree on that because we both see stories in our practice every single day how people are grateful. I mean, I have people thanking me for helping them to change their lives. They initially came for a facelift or whatever, and then next thing they're like, forget about the facelift result. I just feel so much better now because of what you said. And so that for me is probably even more rewarding now at this part of my career than someone saying, oh, I feel I look great now, which is also great. But if they say I feel so much better, that's great.
And that's the thing I wanted. Like, I do a lot of genital treatments. I don't know what to call it, but I do a lot of alternative sex treatments and stuff. And I hear a lot from my clients is the reason why they're doing these treatments and how they feel about their look and sex and stuff like that. And I know it's like people think it's taboo to talk about, but my practice I literally all day. And to me, I find that how people look at themselves allows them to perform in a specific way, whether it's sex or at work or whatever. And that's why I like being a part of it in the non-surgical part, because by doing like these peptides or even things for blood flow, I mean, I put all these guys on daily Cialis just for health benefits, but yet they have harder erections and now their sex life is better. That person becomes a much better person. They don't have anger. They don't have the stress lifts off when they love their body. You're
happier, and also your testosterone level also affects your brain health, on your mood, and I mean everything. You look in the mirror. I can tell you, if I haven't worked out well for like 2 weeks or so, I can quickly see the changes in my body. And when I see them, I'm like, man, 2 weeks ago I was so ripped. What the hell happened? It gets into my head. It affects my mood, and people look at me. They're like, you look the same. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, me and you can tell little changes, and then it affects us psychologically, which is a microcosm of what people go through when they get these huge transformations.
Yes.
So
and I also think, again, that those endorphins that are elevated, the neurotransmitters, that you get from exercise and thinking, and also just critically thinking when you're working consistently and you're having things that you have to think at a higher level, you just perform and feel better. But if you're sluggish and you eat chemicals and preservatives and you don't exercise and you don't sleep, you don't have the ability to recover, you don't have the ability for your cells to be younger and healthier and perform at the level that they should, and so you don't feel as good. And that's why I think I even do things a couple weeks before surgery, or I have them on a peptide plan as long as I can, but even things like CBD I have them on, and other things that are anti-inflammatory, so their pain levels are less, their mental state going into a surgery is way better, so they can heal faster, because that even just positive thought is going to help you get through, being excited versus nervous, So, all right, well, let me do one last thing, because listen, I can sit and talk. I'll make it a monthly thing with you if you want. So I was going to ask you, because you kind of brought it up though, because we're very similar, is how do you differentiate yourself in cosmetic surgery, or in plastic surgery? Because everybody now does social, everybody's doing websites, posting before and after photos. The reason I wanted to bring you on is I thought you had a very similar mindset of comprehensive care and listening to somebody for their goals. I knew we were very similar in how we approach somebody. Why do patients want to go to you over someone else?
It's a good question. Honestly, I don't know. I guess that's a question for my patients or whoever comes to me. All I could tell you is I always try to do things what I feel is right, and which is based on science, and I try always to think outside of the box and look at all angles, and part of it, or most of it, we actually talked about, our approach to medicine, aesthetic medicine, wellness, health. I mean, all of these are intertwined. Your mental health and physical health all affect your self-confidence and self-esteem. And I guess the way I would describe myself is, or I think we should describe ourselves, is as self-esteem and self-confidence doctors. And that doesn't start or end with your body, and because your body and your mind are intimately connected, and you can't have only one part healthy. If your body's not healthy, your mind can't be healthy. If your mind is not healthy, your body can't be healthy, because then you'll be sitting around eating potato chips and not going to the gym. So I like to treat my patients holistically without, I know the word holistic kind of evokes certain emotions in people, but in a sense that to look at them as a spiritual being and a physical being, and try to help them in both ways. And that's why, just like you, I try to optimize my patients before I take them to the operating room. And if they're not optimized, so my consultation process starts 6 months to a year before I take patients to the operating room for a facelift, for example. For minor stuff like just doing a blepharoplasty or rhinoplasty, it's different. But for a comprehensive facelift surgery, which involves the entire face and it's more involved, I really look at their physical health and mental health, and I try to optimize it using their biomarkers and not just taking a CBC or BMP, looking at their hormone levels, at their nutritional status, everything, optimize them before I take them to the operating room. I even have them submit a food diary for at least 2 to 4 weeks.
I like that.
So I can keep them honest, because there are studies that show that over 80% over-report their diet and even over-report their exercise level. So I even have them submit data from their health app, because now I have a baseline I can hold them to. I can use that to tell them, look, you're not enough because you're here, but you need to be up here. That will motivate them to even start the process. And then post-operatively, I continue to follow them up to make sure that they don't fall off the cliff and they don't get lazy. And tell them, look, if you want these results to look better, if you want these results to last longer, you need to make this as part of your lifestyle. So I try to coach them and educate them before the surgery so that they can sustain and maintain it after surgery. So back to your question, why do people come to me? Why do I think? What are the things that I do different? So it's exactly that, and it's a natural selection process. Like always finds like, the people that come to me are the people that are ready for this change. They're looking for someone to guide them. They've already heard of it. They just don't know where to start and what to do, and they're very grateful. And the others, they go elsewhere. It's plain and simple. There's 8 billion people in this world. Like, we can't treat everyone.
Yeah, I think that's, people are going to vibe with certain people and not with others. And I think people gravitate to those that they feel can relate to them and get to know them long term and will help them get to their goals. And so those are the patients that will find you. And I think because you have a more holistic approach, those are the type of people, the ones that invest in their longevity and the best, getting the best results and healing and have a realistic expectation, are probably the ones that want to go to beyond the, great results and education that you have, which is substantial.
And what most of these people actually have in common is they're all successful people. They already bought into success, so they've been successful in their lives, and they want to help someone, and they want to find someone to help them to be also successful when it comes to their body and their health and well-being. So they already bought into that concept, otherwise they wouldn't be successful.
Yeah, and they're willing to invest in it. Those that are competitive invest. I mean, think of young mothers and fathers that pay for tennis lessons or golf or like all this stuff for their kids. You know how expensive that shit is? I mean, look they're investing in it, right? So why, when you're an adult, would you be like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do a peptide that's $300 a month, when you'll literally spend this on your kids and you're not living longer because of it? I mean, yes, I understand. I want you to do that, but like, you do need to put some investment into it, both financially and physically.
You spend multiples on your sick care.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's worse if you get sick.
Yeah.
It's worse. I tell people that all the time. And also for you especially, like if you were hurt, you can't perform at a high level.
I would have probably had shoulder surgery because it was going on for several years. I was very close to having shoulder surgery, and I'm thinking now, geez, I would have had surgery, and all I needed is some peptides and lifestyle modifications, and I avoided surgery. So imagine the effect it has on healthcare in general, on healthcare costs in general, and on pain and suffering. Because once you have surgery, let me tell you, it ain't going to be the same.
Okay, yeah, I agree, 100%. All right, well, I think that was great. We should do more with very specific topics. Whatever you want, you let me know. I would love to do it.
Yeah, I'll have you on my podcast, and we can continue.
Let's do it. Yeah, just tell him when you want to do it, and I'll do it.
I will do it.
All right, I love it. It was great. It was great talking with you. We'll catch up sometime.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate you.